All right. Let's see if you can see and hear me. Let me know if you can see and or hear me before I get started with this. Yeah, I can tell I'm live now. Okay, very good. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. So I want to make a few comments about the Colorado versus Oregon football game today. It was, in the words of Barack Obama, a shellacking. Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes took a shellacking. They got beat soundly by the Oregon Ducks. And if we know Coach Primetime Sanders the way we know him, he will use this to make his team better and to make his young men better young men. We're talking about a guy who played in the NFL for many years and became the best cornerback to ever play the game. So he will definitely use this to his advantage. And it was, quite frankly, not shocking that it happened. We were talking about a football team that went 1-11 last year. We were talking about a football team that literally won one game. And this year, after Coach Sanders has taken over, the team has already won 3 games. That is a successful season for this team. And they still got 9 more games. I predict that they will win about 9 games, 9 out of 12 games, which may make college history, right? So I can't say enough about Coach Primetime Sanders. Today, when they started, before the game started, my wife and I just remarked how awesome it is to see this black man and his son, who's his starting quarterback, walk the 40-yard line and back before the game, talking father and son, I guess strategizing and talking to the Lord. It is awesome for so many reasons that are greater than football. Much, much greater than football. The 42-6 loss today to Oregon means virtually nothing when you see all the great things that Deion has already done to this team and to these young men. And again, he's not through winning. They're going to win a lot more games this season. Trust me on that. But you take the wins, you take the losses. I played sports in school, and we took some beatings. That's the way it is. You take beatings, but you get better. Now, this is not just about football. I did not sign up to support Deion because my wife is texting me. Apparently I just said something I need to correct. She is my silent producer. Yeah, sorry, 8 more games to go. They've played 4. They won 3 out of 4. Thank you, sweetheart. So they got 8 more games to go. All right. So yes, I didn't sign up just for the football part of it, although that's special. And I'm telling you, trust me, this team is nowhere near done. And if it stopped right now as far as football is concerned, the University of Colorado would be happy because they've done 3 times better than they did last year with 8 more games to go. But this is it's about a whole lot more than football. And I want to talk about 2 of those things. 1, race. 2, money. Race and money, because what I'm raising here today is, why is there so much hate against primetime? Where's all the hate coming from? And you hear it. If you got your ears toned in, you hear the hate just like I hear the hate. It's out there. A lot of college football coaches, mostly white, by the way, hate and fear a man like Deion Sanders, a black man like Deion Sanders, because he is, this is a term that you may not hear a lot of today, but it is all a part of the American psychology. He is, in many of their eyes, an uppity nigger. He is an uppity, in their eyes, he is an uppity nigger. Because he's confident, it is interpreted as arrogance, pride. Now, if he was white and already won 3 games, he would be a genius. But because he's primetime, because he's black, they deem him an uppity nigger. Now, don't get all beside yourself because I use that term. That is a part of the American story, history, and present. We dealt with it with Barack Obama. We dealt with it as recent as Barack Obama. Let me take you to a New York Times article. Barack Obama, John McCain, and the language of race. It was not that long ago that black people in the Deep South could be beaten or killed for seeking the right to vote, talking back to the wrong white man, or failing to give way on the sidewalk. People of color who violated these and other prescriptions could be designated uppity niggers and subjected to acts of violence, intimidation that were meant to dissuade others from following their examples. The term uppity was applied to affluent black people. That's Deion. He's a multimillionaire who sometimes paid a horrific price for owning nicer homes, cars, or more successful businesses than whites. Race-based wealth envy was a common trigger for burnings, lynchings, cataclysmic episodes of violence, like that of the Tulsa race riot of 1921, in which a white mob nearby eradicated the prosperous black community of Greenwood. Forms of eloquence and assertiveness that were viewed as laudable among whites were seen as positively mutinous when practiced by people of color. As such, black men and women who looked white people squarely in the eye and argued with them about things that mattered were declared a threat to the racial order and persecuted whenever possible. How many comments have there been made on social media, in back rooms, in private, about Deion sitting there in his conferences after the game and his, when he's answering questions. And yeah, he, like Jay Norwood said, he has his hat on, he has his shades on, he's talking junk, he's slamming his hand on the table. All that makes him an uppity nigger in the eyes of a lot of people. And that is one thing that white America does not like. We saw it with Barack Obama. We saw it with him in our faces. The United States Congress, the GOP said, Mitch McConnell said it was his number one duty to make Obama a failure as president. Forget the country. Forget doing what's right by the citizens of this country. Forget that. Forget nuclear war. Forget the budget. Forget anything. His number one desire, his number one goal was to humble this uppity nigger who had become the president of the United States of America. That is the ugly truth of the country that we live in. You may not like it. You may not want to hear it, but it's the truth. And why wouldn't it be truth in college football? Is college football immune from the history of chattel slavery, Jim Crow, and systemic racism? Of course not. It was the deep pleasure of a lot of people today for Oregon to do exactly what Oregon did to the Colorado Buffaloes because of Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders. You know how Shedeur would get up there and do that with his watch? Oh, there are people who hate that. People who hate that. If you grew up in African American and played ball in the parks, playgrounds, in the African American community, we knew many guys like Deion who talked trash, talked junk, who had flair, who had charisma, who could outplay everybody. I mean that. I grew up in North Carolina, in Wallace, the Wallace, Wilmington area of North Carolina, home of Michael Jordan. Who taught more smack than Jordan? Muhammad Ali. That is just the way the African American, that's the way we are. But there are powerful forces who despise that. And again, it sort of just goes back to this thing of being an uppity nigger. Again, we saw it most recent with Barack Obama. This article goes on to say the obsession with black subservience was based in nostalgia for slavery. No sane person would openly express such a sentiment today, but the discomfort with certain forms of black assertiveness is too deeply rooted in the national psyche and the national language to just disappear. It hasn't disappeared. It's too deeply rooted. That's what this editorial is saying. It has been a persistent theme in the public discourse since Barack Obama became a plausible candidate for the presidency. So this article was written while he was campaigning. He actually became the president. And we saw all the caricatures of him and all the racist stuff said of him and etc. This brilliant, Harvard-trained, constitutional lawyer, all that got under the craw of white society. Not every white person, because a great number of white people supported him. The Democrats supported him. Not every white person, white society. And not every white coach hates and or fears Deion. I'm talking about the system. There is individual racism, but much more insidious is systemic racism. Racism in the systems of America. Which takes me to the second reason this is much more than just football. And it is money. Money, 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 money. Money. It's about money. Let's read this. The current state of NIL, name, image, and likeness. It's just a couple of years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court said the NCAA had to change its rules and basically stop making billions of dollars off the backs and brings of mostly young black men. It was a huge victory. Huge victory. So we're about 2 years into that, and it has shaken up college athletics. So let's read this article, a little bit of this. And here's what I want you to see. Let me skip down here to the juicy stuff. All right. Hold on. This article is written by Inside Higher Education. Let's see. All right, I'll start reading here. Former University of Alabama quarterback Bryce Young cashed in on deals with national corporations like Subway and Cash App and local companies too, such as a BMW dealership in Tuscaloosa. Louisiana State University gymnast Olivia Dunn channeled millions of social media followers into agreements with companies such as American Eagle and Grubhub, among other sponsorships. College athletes collectively made an estimated $917 million from NIL payments in the first year, with the most lucrative deals flowing to football and men's basketball stars. Sounds like a lot of money. But when you consider the fact that the NCAA institutions, before NIL, the year before, made over $8 billion. $8 billion. And if you're talking about men's football and men's basketball, the majority of those were black men, young black men. They made those universities lots and lots and lots and lots of money. The coaches did well, 5 million, 10 million. The assistant coaches did well off the backs, blood, bodies, and brains, mostly of young blacks. Deion Sanders is shaking all that up. They fear him. They fear him. Okay? Now,
Here's Him by Sam Smith on Apple Music.
Sorry about that. All right. This article says the NCAA Division I athletes reportedly earned an average of a measly $3,700 in the first year of the NIL. Again, we're talking about the NCAA institutions that collectively made over $8 billion. Deion is going to shake this up again. One of the reasons why is because next year, there's so many of those young black guys who are going to want to go and play for Deion. You remember what Nick Saban said when Travis Hunter decided not to go to Florida State and instead went to an HBCU to play for Deion Sanders? Oh, he disparaged Deion. You see, that's what this is about. So if he continues to win and build these young men and teach them life lessons and so on, they're going to want to go play for him. And their parents are going to want them to go play for him. If I had a son right now who had the opportunity to go to any school in the country, he would go to Colorado. I would want him under primetime Sanders. Nobody else. That's it. The decision is made. Call him up. get on that team. That's the only team we want you on. That man will help you become a better man, and he's also the best cornerback to ever play the game. If you're on the defensive side especially, he can teach you things a lot of these other coaches can't. So I would be shocked if next year a lot of the top players do not end up in Colorado. I even think some of the Oregon Ducks today probably have a real soft spot in their heart for D. I looked at the team, the Oregon Ducks. I mean, man, what, 7 out of 10 are black guys? Now, everybody talk about Bo Nix, whatever his name is, Bo Nixon, Bo Nix, whatever. I don't mean no disrespect. I never heard of him until recently. Everybody talks about how wonderful of a quarterback he is. Well, he's not. He didn't win today by himself. I mean, it's those other young men on that team, right? But Bo Nix, now I heard his coach say during halftime that he wants the world to see Bo Nix. Why? NIL money. Heisman. I mean, folks got the nerve to say that Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter are top contenders for the Heisman. That burns up a lot of these coaches. The nerve of Deion. That's where much of this is coming from. That uppity Negro thing and the money that's involved. All right, let's look at some other stuff here. I got receipts. I got receipts. Always do. I'm a lawyer. I don't say nothing without receipts. Okay? I'm also a preacher. I don't say anything without receipts from the Bible. All right. On January 30th, on 30 January, Rutgers basketball player, listen at this, Geo Baker wrote on Instagram in response to a post by U.S. college sports governing body, the NCAA, I have to sign a paper that says my name and likeness belongs to the school. Modern day slavery. You realize we're playing in a pandemic being told to stay away from everyone we love just for y'all entertainment, but I can't sell my own jersey with my last name on it to help my future financially, Okay? I could go on. Let's jump down to the next paragraph. This week marks the start of the biggest event on the college sports calendar, the NCAA basketball tournament. And for those unfamiliar with the absurdist world of U.S. college sports, it is big business, like really big business, particularly in the elite Power 5 conferences, which is where Deion plays. How big? In the 2018-2019 academic year, the 65 Power 5 universities generated $8.3 billion through athletics. This is about race and money. Money. And by the way, Prime is making Colorado a lot of money. A lot of money. But sometimes folks' stupidity will not allow them to see past someone's ethnicity. That's a bar. How you like that? Your stupidity won't allow you to see past my ethnicity. $8.3 billion. That was what they were making off these kids. I am so grateful that that Supreme Court case came down where these kids now can use their own name, their own image, and their own likeness to try to put a few dollars in their pockets and not have to sign away their bodies, their names, their images to make wealthy PWIs lots and lots and lots and lots of money. And by the way, most of them do not go to the NFL. And if they do, they don't stay long. I've heard NFL players say the NFL really stands for not for long. Okay? I got more. Watch this. Now, when I say college sports, when I say white college coaches hate and or fear prime time, I'm not saying all of them. From my understanding, despite Nick Saban's comments about Travis Hunter, from what I understand, for example, Deion has a great relationship with Nick Saban. I heard him say himself, he really respects him. Okay? So not all of them, all the coaches, I'm not talking about all of them, I'm talking about the system. We're always, or at least me, as an attorney, as a civil rights lawyer, I deal with the systems. An individual racist doesn't mean a whole lot to me unless he's in a position of power to harm somebody. But it's the systems of racism that are most problematic. It is the practices and patterns of these systems that result in disparate impact for African American people. So never, ever, ever, when we talk about like whites or this or that, never we saying all whites. As a matter of fact, thank God for the whites the white Christian abolitionists during slavery who fought to end slavery. I always acknowledge those true Christians. I think of white people during the civil rights movement who stood shoulder to shoulder with King, but far too many of what King called moderate Christians counseled him to take it slow, to let things work out. You know, good Christians. No, it's the system of college athletics, football, that are really unhappy with Deion Sanders. Just go look at all the disparaging comments, okay, that comes his way. And, you know, everybody was anticipating some disparaging comments coming from the coach for Oregon. Well, he wisely kept quiet. But we saw from his pep speech before the game and during halftime, he took it personal. Deion hadn't said anything to him. Deion, from what I understand, Deion hadn't said anything to that coach or anything about that coach. Why was he so angry? I mean, why, you know, this ain't about clicks for us. This is about playing. This ain't about Hollywood. Why all that? Where does that vitriol come from? This man is going to upset college football in a big way. One of the things that I hope he does is I hope he drives attention to HBCUs. I am an HBCU graduate twice. I went to North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro, and I graduated from North Carolina Central School of Law in Durham, North Carolina. I am a twice HBCU graduate. I love HBCUs. Gave me the opportunity to get an education when no other school would have. I was a high school dropout. Hadn't even taken the SAT, never took the SAT. They admitted me with the GED. I had a GED when I enrolled in A&T. and a 10th grade high school dropout. A&T welcomed me in and allowed me to mature on that campus. So I am a strong HBCU graduate. And I want to see the discrimination in athletics toward HBCUs stop. Because HBCUs got the same caliber of players that you saw today with Oregon and Colorado, USC. I mean, they're all young black men coming from the same neighborhoods. Some end up at the bigger schools and some end up at HBCUs. The same talent is there. Shador played at Jackson State. Travis Hunter, Jackson State. Shiloh, Jackson State. But they don't even consider HBCUs. That is another way Deion is about to shake up the money if he can break through this thing. Why? Because HBCUs will be competitors of PWIs for advertising dollars. They will become competitors. Also, they will become competitors for top high school graduates who will say, nah, I think I'm going to go to North Carolina Central, North Carolina A&T, Bethune-Cookman, Howard, etc. I think I'm going to go there instead of going to the big schools. I think I want to go to somewhere that, especially now that Prime has opened the doors and more, more TV shows, ESPN and others are coming and watching our games, and we're being seen by just as many folks as those at PWIs, predominantly white institutions. No, I think I'm gonna go to an HBCU. That scares these white coaches. That scared them because they know this coach today, this Oregon coach today. I mean, look at the young African-American men on his team doing the things they were doing. Well, suppose those same young men now have the opportunity to go to an HBCU and still get the same looks if they aspire to go to the NFL and can make the same NIL dollars. Why? Because again, more advertisers, TV contracts, etc., are going now to A&T or Central, Howard, Thurgood Marshall in Houston. You see, he threatens all of that. He threatens every bit of that. They despise him for that. Again, I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about the system because of what he threatens to do, the impact that he could have. So why all the hate? Race and money. Not necessarily in that order, but those two factors. So let me end by saying, I believe, again, to quote Primetime, I believe that Colorado will ultimately win maybe 9-10 games. And that would just be, a smashing success. And the more success Deion has, the greater the hate, the greater the fear. Because it's assumed that white men are the ones who really know how to coach. It was assumed for many years that it was only white dudes who knew how to quarterback. We're still breaking those barriers. We're still breaking those barriers. Prime is he's a prime example. There have been black coaches. Don't misunderstand me. I remember Ty Willingham coached, and there have been many more, but Ty stands out because he's from my home state. Coached Notre Dame for a few years. He only got three years. And Prime knows that's probably his situation too, even with his star appeal. I don't know. Since Prime is making a lot of money, maybe not. But black coaches typically are not going to get a long time. You better win early and fast, and you better make it happen, because you know you're not going to get 10 years like white coaches get. I'm just talking straight. I'm just talking honest. Let's be honest. Let's just be honest about our country and the role that race plays and money. Okay? All right. Thank you for joining me. Again, the purpose of the Defiant Lawyers YouTube channel is to empower the African American community with the law, with what's needed to nullify systemic racism. We are not ashamed of saying that. We're not unabashed about saying that. And to defy an unjust legal system. If that interests you, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Thank you for listening. You have a wonderful evening. And again, I still believe. I love seeing Prime Time and his boys out there. I love seeing him nurture these young men and mentor these young men. I love it. I love it. I love it. And he's not ashamed to mention the name of Jesus. He's not ashamed. He's constantly talking about the Lord and faith. And so I had his pastor to a game a couple of weeks ago. Who does that? Who does that? Had his pastor, had E. Dewey Smith from Atlanta, a mega church pastor, Baptist pastor there from Atlanta, E. Dewey Smith. We all know E. Dewey Smith. Had him there at the game praying and counseling and so forth. Yeah, I'm riding with Dion. I don't care if he doesn't win another game, but I know he will. All right, I'm out. Peace, 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 peace. Do y'all still believe? Do you still believe? Like P. Diddy says, I can't stop, won't stop. I'm riding with Dion. All right, I'm out.